In a world that never stops talking, silence has become the rarest and most expensive luxury. We are surrounded by a constant symphony of noise, the hum of traffic, the ping of notifications, and the endless chatter of voices demanding our attention. Most of us have become afraid of the quiet. We fill every gap in our day with scrolling or sound, fearing what we might hear if the world finally went silent. But the greatest minds in history found their strength in the stillness. If you value deep learning and want to unlock your true potential through wisdom, please subscribe to the Knowledge Hub. If our content helps you grow, join us for more videos that matter. Let's continue. What if the secret to your next breakthrough and your ultimate power is hidden in the very silence you're trying to avoid? Today, we dive deep into the power of silence, a tool that commands respect and sharpens the mind. Silence is not just the absence of sound, it is a presence in itself. It is a space where the noise of the world fades away and the voice of the soul begins to speak. In ancient traditions, silence was considered a sacred practice. From the monks in the high Himalayas to the philosophers of ancient Greece, the vow of silence was not a punishment but a pathway to enlightenment. They understood that when you stop talking, you start observing. When you stop reacting to external sounds, you begin to process internal truths. In modern psychology, silence is recognized as a vital component of mental health. Our brains are not designed to be stimulated 24/7. When we are constantly bombarded with information, our amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for the fight-or-flight response, stays in a state of high alert. This leads to chronic stress, anxiety, and a fragmented focus. Silence acts as a reset button for the human nervous system. Research shows that just 2 minutes of pure silence can be more relaxing than listening to relaxing music. It lowers blood pressure, stabilizes heart rate, and allows the brain to enter a state of rest and digest. This physiological recovery is essential for anyone looking to perform at their peak. But the power of silence goes far beyond physical relaxation. It is a tool for social and professional dominance. Think about the most influential people you know. Do they talk constantly? Usually the opposite is true. Those who hold the most power often speak the least. When they do speak, their words carry the weight of a mountain because they have been forged in the furnace of quiet reflection. People who talk too much often reveal their insecurities, their lack of preparation, or their desperate need for validation. In contrast, the person who remains silent in a meeting, listening intently and observing body language, becomes the most intimidating and respected person in the room. Silence creates an aura of mystery and authority. It forces others to fill the gap, often revealing their own hands while you keep yours hidden. Furthermore, silence is the ultimate teacher of self-awareness. Most of our daily actions are knee-jerk reactions to the world around us. Someone insults us and we snap back. Something goes wrong and we complain. We are like leaves blown by the wind of external events. Silence creates a buffer zone between a stimulus and your response. In that quiet gap, you find the freedom to choose who you want to be. You learn to respond with wisdom rather than react with impulse. You begin to see your own thoughts objectively. You notice the patterns of your mind, the fears, the desires, and the ego. Without silence, you are a slave to your thoughts. With silence, you become their master. Consider the creative process. Have you ever noticed that your best ideas come to you in the shower or right before you fall asleep or while taking a solitary walk? This is not a coincidence. Creativity requires incubation. When the conscious mind is busy processing noise, the subconscious mind cannot communicate its breakthroughs. It is only when the external noise stops that the subconscious whispers the solution to the problem you've been struggling with for weeks. Silence is the laboratory of the genius. It is where ideas are born, refined, and perfected. It is the canvas upon which the mind paints its most intricate designs. In this first part of our journey, we have established that silence is a physiological necessity, a psychological sanctuary, and a social weapon. It is the soil in which the seeds of wisdom are planted. As we move forward, we will look at how to implement silence in a world that hates it and how to use it to transform your relationships and your career. But for now, take a moment to realize that the quiet is not your enemy. It is your greatest ally. It is the bridge between the person you are and the person you are destined to become. If you feel overwhelmed by life, the answer isn't usually more information, it's more space. It's the courage to sit in. a room alone and be perfectly fine with the quiet. Most people cannot do this. They are terrified of what they might find in the stillness. They fear the thoughts that might surface or the feelings they've been suppressing with noise. But you are different. You are here because you want more, and to get more you must sometimes be willing to say less. True power does not scream, it whispers. It is found in the calm before the storm and the peace after the victory. By mastering the art of being still, you gain a perspective that others lack. You see the world not as a chaotic mess of sounds, but as a series of patterns. You begin to hear the things that are not being said. You notice the hesitation in a liar's voice and the sincerity in a friend's eyes. This level of perception is only available to those who have cleared the static from their own minds. Silence is the ultimate filter, allowing the truth to rise to the surface while the lies and distractions sink to the bottom. As we delve deeper into the next chapters, we will explore the specific strategies to harness this power in your daily life. From the way you handle arguments to the way you build your legacy. Moving beyond the internal peace of the mind, we must address how silence operates as a formidable force in our interactions with the world. In the professional sphere and within our personal social circles, the ability to withhold speech is often more valuable than the ability to deliver it. We live in a society that rewards the loudest voice, but true influence belongs to the one who controls the rhythm of the conversation. When you speak less, every word you utter increases in value. It is the economic principle of scarcity applied to human communication. If you are constantly talking, your words become cheap, predictable, and easily ignored. But when you are the person who listens more than they speak, people lean in when you finally open your mouth. They assume that if you have been silent for 10 minutes, whatever you are about to say must be the result of deep thought and careful calculation. One of the most powerful applications of silence is in the art of negotiation. Most people are deeply uncomfortable with dead air. When a proposal is made or a price is named, their instinct is to fill the ensuing silence with justifications, excuses, or concessions. A master negotiator knows this and uses silence as a psychological lever. By simply remaining quiet after the other party has spoken, you create a vacuum. The other person, feeling the pressure of the stillness, will often keep talking to ease their anxiety. In doing so, they frequently reveal more information than they intended, lower their demands, or admit to weaknesses in their position. Silence in this context is not passive. It is an active interrogation tactic that requires immense self-control. Furthermore, silence is a shield against the pitfalls of the ego. Our ego wants to be right, it wants to be heard, and it wants to defend itself at all costs. When someone criticizes us or challenges our ideas, our immediate reaction is to launch a verbal counterattack. However, reacting instantly usually leads to regrettable words and damaged reputations. By employing a strategic pause, you reclaim your power. Silence in the face of an insult doesn't signal submission. It signals that the other person's words do not have the power to move you. It shows a level of maturity and emotional stability that is incredibly rare. It leaves the aggressor looking foolish and out of control, while you remain the master of the situation. In leadership, silence is the ultimate tool for observation. A leader who talks too much prevents their team from sharing ideas and taking initiative. By stepping back and creating a silent space, a leader allows the strengths and weaknesses of their team to become visible. You begin to notice who is truly confident, who is hiding behind buzzwords, and where the real bottlenecks in a project lie. This observational power allows for better decision-making and more effective delegation. Moreover, silence fosters a culture of listening. If a leader values quiet reflection, the team will mirror that behavior, leading to a more thoughtful and less chaotic work environment. Even in our personal relationships, silence plays a healing role. We often think that communication means talking through every single problem until a solution is found. While verbal communication is vital, there are moments where words are insufficient or even destructive. Sometimes a partner or a friend doesn't need a lecture or a list of solutions. They simply need a silent presence. Being able to sit with someone in their grief or their stress without feeling the need to fix it with words is a profound act of love. It shows that you are comfortable with the depth of their emotion. Silence creates a safe harbor where words are not required for understanding. However, mastering this social edge requires us to overcome our own internal noise. We are often silent on the outside while a war is raging on the inside. We are thinking about our next point or how to prove the other person wrong or how we are being perceived. To truly harness the power of silence in social settings, we must learn the art of active silence. This means listening with your whole body, observing the micro-expressions, the tone of voice, and the energy of the room. It means being so present in the moment that your silence itself becomes a form of communication. People can feel the difference between a silence that is empty and a silence that is full of attention. Let us also consider the concept of the power dynamics of sound. In almost every hierarchy, those at the bottom are the most vocal and noisy, while those at the apex are the most composed. Think of the difference between a crowded marketplace and a high-end boardroom. Noise is often a byproduct of chaos and lack of control. Silence is the hallmark of order and precision. By choosing silence, you are essentially signaling to the world that you are in control of your environment and yourself. You are refusing to be a part of the mindless chatter that defines the average existence. You are choosing a path of intentionality. As we conclude this second step of our journey, reflect on your own life. How often do you speak just to avoid silence? How often do you interrupt others because you are afraid your point will be forgotten? How much power are you giving away by revealing your thoughts too early? The Knowledge Hub is about more than just facts, it's about the wisdom of application. In the next part, we will move into the physiological and neurological benefits of silence, how it literally changes the structure of your brain and enhances your cognitive abilities. We will see how silence is not just a social strategy, but a biological necessity for greatness. For now, practice the 5-second rule in your next conversation. Before you respond to someone, wait 5 seconds. Observe the reaction of the other person. Notice the shift in the atmosphere. You will find that those 5 seconds of silence give you more clarity and more authority than any sentence you could have prepared. You are learning to wield a weapon that few understand and even fewer can master. In the previous parts of our journey, we explored the social and psychological impact of silence. But to truly understand why silence is a superpower, we must look under the hood into the very biological machinery of the human brain. Most people believe that when we are silent and inactive, our brain shuts off or goes into a dormant state. Modern neuroscience, however, has discovered the exact opposite. When we enter a state of true silence, our brain engages in a process that is vital for intelligence, creativity, and long-term mental health. This is the stage where the Knowledge Hub perspective becomes purely scientific. Silence isn't just a lifestyle choice, it is a neurological requirement for a high-functioning mind. In 2013, a landmark study published in the journal Brain, Structure and Function monitored the effects of different types of noise and silence on the brains of mice. The researchers intended to use silence as a control group, expecting nothing to happen. To their absolute shock, they found that when the subjects were exposed to 2 hours of silence per day, they developed new cells in the hippocampus. The hippocampus is the region of the brain associated with memory, emotion, and learning. This process is known as neurogenesis. Essentially, silence literally grows your brain. It provides the internal environment necessary for the brain to create new neurons. In a world of constant digital noise, our brains are often in a state of consumption, but in silence, the brain shifts into a state of construction. This leads us to the concept of the default mode network, DMN. When you're focused on a task, like answering an email or driving a car, your brain uses a specific set of circuits. But when you disengage from external tasks and sit in quiet reflection, the DMN kicks in. This network is responsible for what we call self-referential processing. This is the part of your brain that integrates your experiences, makes sense of your life story, and connects seemingly unrelated ideas. It is the birthplace of eureka moments. Without silence, your DMN never gets the chance to fully activate. You become a person who knows many things but understands very little. Silence is the bridge that turns raw information into deep, usable wisdom. Furthermore, silence is the ultimate cure for sensory overload. Our modern environment subjects us to a phenomenon called directed attention fatigue. Because we are constantly forced to filter out background noise, advertisements, and digital interruptions, our prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for decision-making and willpower, becomes exhausted. This is why after a long day in a noisy office or in front of a screen you feel brain fog. You find it harder to make simple decisions or control your impulses. Silence allows these cognitive resources to replenish. It is like a deep sleep for your conscious mind while you are still awake. It clears the cache of your mental hard drive, allowing you to return to your work with a level of clarity and speed that noise-addicted people can never achieve. Let's talk about the relationship between silence and stress hormones. Chronic noise is a major trigger for the release of cortisol, the body's primary stress hormone. Even when you think you've tuned out the sound of a humming air conditioner or distant traffic, your brain is still processing it and your nervous system is still reacting to it. High levels of cortisol over long periods lead to a weakened immune system, impaired cognitive function, and heart disease. Silence, on the other hand, has been shown to be more effective at lowering cortisol levels than even relaxing music or meditation with guided audio. By sitting in pure silence, you are chemically altering your body to move from a state of survival to a state of thriving. But the cognitive benefits don't stop at stress reduction. Silence enhances our ability to engage in deep work. The most difficult and valuable tasks in the world, writing a book, coding a complex program, or strategizing a business move, require a state of flow. Flow is impossible in a noisy environment. Every time a phone rings or someone speaks near you, your brain undergoes a switching cost. It takes an average of 23 minutes to return to a state of deep focus after an interruption. By mastering silence, you create a fortress around your mind. You learn to value the uninterrupted hour as the most productive unit of time in your life. In this stage of our exploration, we must realize that we are living in a noise economy. Tech companies and media outlets profit from keeping your brain in a state of constant stimulation. They want your attention to be fragmented because a fragmented mind is easier to influence and sell to. Silence is an act of rebellion against the system. When you choose to be silent, you are reclaiming your cognitive sovereignty. You are saying that your attention belongs to you, not to an algorithm. You are choosing to let your brain grow, heal, and innovate instead of just reacting to the next notification. As we move into the next parts of this script, we will discuss how to build a sanctuary of silence in your daily routine and how to use quietness to master the art of listening, a skill that will make you a magnet for success and high-quality relationships. But for now, understand this scientific truth: your brain is a garden. Noise is the weeds that choke the plants, and silence is the water and sunlight that allow them to bloom. If you want a mind that can solve the world's hardest problems, you must give it the quiet it deserves. Reflect on your past week. How many hours did you spend in pure intentional silence? No music, no phone, no talking. If the answer is 0, then you are running a high-performance engine without ever changing the oil. You are burning out your most valuable asset. The Knowledge Hub is here to remind you that true intelligence isn't about how much you can take in. It's about how much you can process and refine in the stillness of your own mind. As we move from the biological transformation of the brain into the practical application of silence, we encounter one of the most misunderstood skills in human history: the art of listening. Most people believe that to be a great communicator, you must be a great talker. They focus on their vocabulary, their tone, and their body language while speaking. However, the true masters of communication, those who build empires, lead nations, and create deep, lasting bonds, know that the real power lies in the gaps between the words. Silence is the foundation of active listening, a skill that allows you to see through the masks people wear and understand the truth of any situation. In a typical conversation, most people are not actually listening. They are merely waiting for their turn to speak. While the other person is talking, their mind is busy formulating a response, a counterargument, or a funny anecdote. This means they are only partially present. By choosing silence, you break this cycle. You give the other person your undivided attention. This does something remarkable. It makes the speaker feel valued and safe. When people feel truly heard, they begin to open up in ways they never intended. They share their secrets, their fears, and their true motivations. In the world of business and high-stakes negotiation, this is pure gold. He who listens the most learns the most, and he who has the most information always has the most power. Strategic silence also allows you to observe microexpressions and nonverbal cues. Human communication is only 7% verbal. The remaining 93% is a mix of body language, facial expressions, and vocal tonality. When your own mouth is closed, your eyes and ears become hypersensitive. You notice the slight twitch in someone's eye when they mention a specific person. You hear the subtle tremor in their voice when they discuss a successful project that might actually be failing. You see the way they lean back when they feel threatened. These are the hidden data points of life. Silence allows you to collect this data, process it, and use it to navigate the social landscape with surgical precision. Furthermore, silence is a tool for conflict de-escalation. Most arguments are like a fire that requires oxygen to stay alive. That oxygen is reactive speech. When someone shouts at you or insults you, they are expecting a reaction. They want you to shout back so they can justify their own anger. If you respond with a calm, dignified silence, you starve the fire of its oxygen. The other person is forced to confront their own behavior in the mirror of your quietness. More often than not, they will become uncomfortable, their anger will lose its momentum, and they will eventually apologize or back down. Silence shows that you are the emotional anchor of the room. You are the one who decides when a conversation becomes a conflict and when it remains a dialogue. Let's look at the concept of intellectual humility. Silence is an admission that you do not know everything. By remaining quiet, you are signaling a willingness to learn from everyone you meet, whether they are a CEO or a street sweeper. Every person has a world of knowledge inside them, but you can only access it if you are silent enough to listen. Those who talk all the time only hear what they already know. Those who are silent hear what everyone else knows. Over a lifetime, this creates a massive wisdom gap between the talker and the listener. The listener becomes a polymath, a person of deep insight, while the talker remains stuck in the loop of their own limited perspective. But how do you practice this in a world that demands a fast response? We are conditioned to reply to texts in seconds and answer questions instantly. This instant response culture leads to shallow thinking and frequent mistakes. At the Knowledge Hub, we advocate for the strategic pause. Before answering a difficult question, take 3 seconds. Look the person in the eye, breathe, and think. This pause does 3 things. It shows that you are taking the question seriously, it gives you time to formulate a better answer, and it keeps you in control of the pace of the interaction. You are telling the world that you will not be rushed into a reaction. You are the master of your own time. Moreover, silence is the ultimate filter for small talk. We spend a huge portion of our lives engaging in meaningless chatter, whether reports, celebrity gossip, and complaining about the mundane. This social noise drains our energy and provides zero value. By choosing to be more silent in social settings, you naturally filter out the superficial. You stop being a magnet for gossip and start being a magnet for deep, meaningful conversations. People will realize that you don't care for the noise, and they will start bringing you their signal, their big ideas, their real problems, and their sincere visions. You become a person of substance. In leadership, this type of silence creates space for others. When a leader is always the first to speak in a meeting, they accidentally silence the talent in the room. People become afraid to contradict the leader or offer a different perspective. A silent leader, however, asks a question and then remains quiet. They let the silence sit in the room until someone else speaks. This forces the team to think, to take responsibility, and to contribute. It builds a team of thinkers rather than a team of followers. Think about the conversations you had today. Did you dominate them, or did you facilitate them through silence? Did you learn something new, or did you just repeat what you already believed? Silence is not just about keeping your mouth shut, it is about keeping your mind open. It is the highest form of respect you can show to another human being and the highest form of discipline you can show to yourself. In our final step, we will bring everything together. We will look at the spiritual dimensions of silence, how to create a silence ritual in your busy life, and how this one habit can become the cornerstone of your legacy. We will also provide the final roadmap for you to transition from a person of noise to a person of power. We have traveled through the biological, social, and psychological landscapes of silence. We have seen how it heals the brain, commands the boardroom, and sharpens the intellect. But there is a final, deeper dimension to silence that transcends the practicalities of daily life. This is the spiritual and legacy-building aspect of quietness. In every major spiritual tradition, from the meditative depths of Buddhism and the contemplative prayers of Christianity to the profound concept of khalwa, seclusion in Islamic tradition, silence is the gateway to the divine. It is the language of the universe. When we quiet the ego and the endless internal monologue, we connect with something far greater than our individual selves. This is where the knowledge hub mastery begins, realizing that the most important truths cannot be shouted. They can only be felt in the absolute stillness of the heart. In this final stage, we must discuss the silence ritual. In a world that is designed to be loud, you cannot find silence by accident. You must create it by design. Mastery requires you to build a sanctuary of silence in your daily life. This could be the first 30 minutes of your morning before you touch your phone, or a solitary walk in the evening without headphones. During this time, you are not doing anything. You are not planning, you are not learning, and you are not solving. You are simply being. This ritual acts as an anchor for your soul. It ensures that no matter how chaotic the world becomes, you have a center of gravity that cannot be shaken. People who lack this anchor are easily swept away by the trends, the fears, and the dramas of the masses. But the person who has a daily appointment with silence becomes like a mountain, firm, grounded, and magnificent. Silence also teaches us the power of no. In our noise-addicted society, we feel a constant pressure to say yes to every invitation, every project, and every request for our attention. This leads to a life that is wide but shallow. Silence gives you the clarity to see what truly matters. It empowers you to say no to the distractions so that your yes to your life's purpose carries the force of a thunderbolt. You begin to value quality over quantity. You would rather have one deep friendship than 1,000 superficial connections. You would rather master one craft than be mediocre at 10. This selectivity is the hallmark of greatness. Legacy is not built by doing everything, it is built by doing the right things with total focus. Furthermore, we must address the silence of the wise versus the silence of the coward. Not all silence is equal. True power is knowing when to speak and when to remain still. There is a time to stand up and let your voice be heard, especially in the face of injustice or when your values are challenged. However, the wise person knows that their words are their most precious resource. They do not waste them on people who are committed to misunderstanding them. They do not cast their pearls before those who do not value them. By mastering silence, you learn the art of selective speech. You speak only when your words are more beautiful than silence itself. This makes your voice a rare and respected event in the lives of others. As you integrate these lessons into your life, you will notice a profound shift in your energy. You will find that you are less easily provoked. You will find that your decisions are more accurate because they are born from a place of calm rather than a place of panic. You will find that people are drawn to you not because you are entertaining them with noise, but because your presence is a cooling shade in a world that is burning with stress. This is the ultimate legacy of the knowledge hubby follower, to become a person of depth in a world of shallows. Consider the end of your journey. When people remember you, will they remember a person who is always complaining, always talking, and always busy? Or will they remember a person of substance, someone whose words carried weight, whose presence brought peace, and whose life was a testament to the power of self-mastery? The choice is made in the quiet moments of today. Every time you choose to listen instead of interrupt, every time you choose a book over a screen, and every time you choose a silent walk over a noisy crowd, you are building that legacy. Silence is the ultimate teacher because it forces you to face yourself. In the noise, we can hide. In the quiet, the truth comes out. Do not be afraid of what you find in the stillness. Even if you find pain or fear or regret, silence gives you the space to process and heal those parts of yourself. It is the ultimate form of self-love. By giving yourself the gift of quiet, you are giving yourself the gift of a meaningful life. As we conclude this deep dive into the power of silence, remember that knowledge only becomes power when it is applied. If this journey has resonated with you and provided a new perspective on your life, we invite you to become a permanent part of our community. If you have learned something valuable today and want to continue exploring the depths of human potential, please subscribe to the Knowledge Hub. Your subscription is not just a click, it is a commitment to your own growth and a support to our mission of spreading wisdom. Share this video with someone who needs a moment of peace in their noisy world. Thank you for walking this path with us. Stay curious, stay quiet, and keep seeking the truth. We will see you in the next chapter of your journey.